Alright guys, so I'm finally getting around to finishing up that part 2 of that last video that cut off on me. And what I was talking about was a response to Big J's open tag of what was your best knife purchase of 2023 and what was your worst knife purchase of 23. And as I was alluding to in that last video, when I started thinking about the knives that I bought in 2023, I couldn't really think of any that were just really bad because I didn't buy that many knives, and I don't really buy from like online knife dealers, so I pretty much know what I'm getting before I get it, and I feel like that's really the only way. But anyway, I did think of a couple of knives that I had bought that was absolute garbage, and I have looked for those knives. They were such garbage that I didn't even bring them in the house after I bought them. I literally tossed them in the seat of the truck and they have disappeared. I have dug and dug and dug and I can't find them, but what they were these little junky rust lock knockoffs. They had that little tang on the rear of the blade like a rust lock has, and they had dyed bone handles, and that was probably the best part of them. But they were just junk. The blades were crooked and bent and warped. The action was non-existent. One of them wouldn't even close all the way. Absolute junk. And I only gave $5 a piece for them. I was going to give them to my oldest two boys, but they just weren't fit for anything. So when it comes to good knife purchases, I had a few, and I've even got one here I want to show you that I acquired from a giveaway that I would be remiss if I didn't show it to you. But this right here is probably, I'm gonna say without a doubt, my finest knife purchase of 2023. This is a medium Congress in genuine stag, and both sides look really good. You get half stops on most Congress knives. 4 blades, of course, on a full Congress. They make a 2-bladed half Congress. You get 4 back springs on this knife, so each blade has its own back spring, which really helps with the blade rub and stuff. But this knife here has a little bit of a story. I located this knife at a local flea market, and it was about $100, and that's about as much as I've spent on a knife, so this one tops the list. It outbid the Purple Haze Copper Lock that I had for $90. But I saw this knife at the flea market, and I admired it, and I thought, man, I don't have a Congress. I've always wanted a Congress, and here's one in genuine stag, just absolutely phenomenal. But I just really didn't have the money at the time, and so I passed it up. And at the end of the summer, I got a little bit of a bonus, and I said, hey, I'm going to go back and see if they've got that Congress still. And so we loaded the car. We drove about 45 minutes to this flea market. I went straight down there to where I saw it, and lo and behold, it was still there. And I didn't ask any questions. I didn't try to haggle. I just said, hey, I'd like to have that knife. Paid the lady and went on. But it's perfect. The blades are all lined up just as well as you'd want them to be. All these transitions are great. I've actually sent this one to Big J, and he did a short on it, but he wasn't able to do a full video because he ran out of time. And boy, I understand that because I hardly ever have time. But yeah, this is it. This is my best knife purchase of 2023. So with that out of the way, I've got some honorable mentions. This one here surprised me. I got this for like $40 on eBay, and I like eBay. I like to get on eBay. I can look at pictures of the knife. I can tell kind of what I'm getting before I get it. You know, you can even talk to the seller a little bit if you have questions. But if you notice, this is what they call an improved trapper. It's got that Warncliffe blade instead of the spade blade everybody hates. The action on this knife is good. It's got just really good snap, good blade pull. I love the shield on this knife. It's a simple diamond with the case XX in there, but it just looks great. You see the pattern number there is a 54W. Obviously that W stands for Wharncliffe. This clip point has a good action as well. And these smooth bone knives, guys, if y'all haven't tried a smooth bone case knife, I really encourage you to, because something about these smooth bones, man, every one I've got, and I think I've got 3, but every smooth bone case knife I have is just absolutely perfect. No gaps whatsoever on this knife. The blade centering is just not perfect, but really close. And the transitions on this are just perfect. Even with the shield, pins, everything's perfect on this knife. All right, now that brings me to the next honorable mention. I picked this one up just a few weeks ago, and I got this old boy for $15. And now it's rough, guys. There's a nick in the blade. The blade is significantly shorter than it would have been from the factory because somebody's either broken it or just sharpened it down. And a matter of fact, the pen blade is even broke off and ground down way up here. But for $15, check out that bone. I guess they call this a soup bone. I've seen some GECs that have that kind of a groove in them like that. They always call that a soup bone, I think. But look at the attention to detail they took back in the day. This knife would fall between 1940 and 1964, as you can see by the tang stamp there. No dots or X's on these older knives like this. Beautiful case stamping on the bolster there. No shield, just like everybody likes it. But where they went in and darkened this groove, even though this side doesn't have a groove, they went in and darkened it anyway. So both sides are pretty much a mirror. They won't do that stuff nowadays. They pump them out too fast to be worried about that. But this knife here has a pretty decent action, and it probably would have a better action, but I actually carried it over the holidays, and I haven't cleaned it out. But you still get a pretty decent little action out of a knife that's, could possibly be, 70 years old. I guess even older than that. Don't really know for sure. It's pretty broad span between 40 and 64, but that's just what you get. But yeah, I polished it up, and it's carbon steel, and I'm just tickled with it, man. For $15, and I've been wanting an older Barlow. Actually, this is the only Barlow I have, but I've just been tickled with it. Just shined up beautifully. And then the last one here that I acquired in 23 was actually a giveaway winnings. I was the winner of a giveaway, I should say. And this come from Warthog. And this is my one and only GEC knife. And let me tell you, the hype is not unwarranted. These knives are freaking awesome. It's got about an 8 pull. Serious snap on the blade. I've used it a little bit cutting some meat, got some tieners going on there. It took me a while to figure out if I was going to even use this knife or not, and then I thought, heck, why not? You can always polish that patina off if you don't like it, but I just love the shield on this knife. Absolutely love that bull head. That's a North American cattle bone is what that NACB stands for, and I guess that's just their way of showing you that this is a true, genuine North American cattle bone. Bone covers right here, and I think they call this ox blood. I don't really remember what the color is on that, but it's just a really nice deep red. Beautiful half stop, just a giant blade right there, big old ram's foot or whatever you want to call that. But I've really been enjoying this one a lot. And like I said, I won this in a giveaway from Warthog, so y'all go check him out if you get a chance. Some clown was giving him a hard time about who his giveaway winners were, and obviously that guy has no clue what he's talking about. Rick does a legit giveaway, and he does some really nice giveaways because he gives away some really nice pieces. But yeah, kudos to Rick for this one. It's definitely been at the top of my list since I've received it. Now that brings me to my next thing, guys. I want to do an open tag of my own because I haven't I haven't done an open tag yet, but here's what I want to do. Going with the theme of this knife, and what I mean by that is actually going out to an antique store or a flea market, or even a knife store or a hardware store, getting out from in front of the computer screen and going out and hunting you down a one-of-a-kind knife like I did here. So that's my open tag. All these knives here, and this is just a few, but I grabbed a few I had handy. Each and every one of these knives I purchased in hand with cash money at a flea market or an antique store, except this one came from Tractor Supply because, as you know, it's a Tractor Supply exclusive. But I went to Tractor Supply and bought that. I didn't just find it on eBay and snag it up. But here's a beautiful slimline trapper in a red, dark red jig bone, and I believe it even has a DR on the tang stamp for dark red. I could be wrong. Yeah, it's just a 61048. I thought it had a DR on it. It must be a different knife. But yeah, CV blade on this one. I found this one at the same place. They had two of them. They only wanted like $20 a piece for them. So there you go. That's a killer deal on those. Like I said, this one came from Tractor Supply. And this one happens to be probably one of my best put together knives, case knives. You cannot find a flaw with this knife anywhere. You can stare at this all day and you're not going to find a flaw. Look at the back springs on this knife. I mean, they're as tight as any GEC knife you're going to find. I actually gave my box to Big J because he needed a box and he cherishes those boxes a lot more than I do. So I just went ahead and sent him my box for his knife. And this one here is probably the coolest one I found out picking, if you want to call it that, just out doing the antique store thing. But this is a Midnight Bone case sow belly, Tony Bowes collaboration. You get that cool tested XX individual letters there, shield. And like I said, this one here is nice too. It's got some age on it. And I think somebody used it before me because when I got it, it was absolutely filthy. But this knife here is got some really good blade action on it too. And everybody loves a good sow belly. But yeah, that's just about going to do it. But I wanted to respond to Big J's open tag, and I wanted to start one of my own. So if you stuck around this long to the end of the video, I want to see your knives that you actually got out.